Good evening, everybody. It's time for another live stream. Hi. It's Sunday evening in Zhongshan. It was a beautiful day. I really didn't do much today. I just stayed at home and did a lot of editing. The reason is I've been working on a certain project with a local charity here that I will be releasing on my channel and on many other channels in the next couple of weeks. I know it's early. I normally don't do a live stream this early, but I had to get this in and then get some rest this evening because I got an early morning tomorrow. The term is, it's in the middle of the term. I have a few weeks left of the term. A lot of early mornings fighting traffic to get out there, and as soon as the end of the month comes, then January starts, and then I get about 6 weeks off holiday, and I got some cool trips lined up. I'll be going to Beijing. Finally, I was supposed to go last summer, and the kind of summer got away with me with other trips. So I'll be going to Beijing uh, in the first week of January. I got some really cool surprises for you all. Not going to tell you what I'm doing there. I'll be staying in some really cool hotels, of course, but I'm going to be doing some really neat stuff. I'll be there for about 5 days, and then Mona and I will be doing some road trips, tiny little road trips throughout Guangdong, including back north to Xiaolan and do some camping and some hiking. I'll vlog the whole thing. It's going to be great. Lots of cool stuff coming up. For those of you who watched the Guangzhou International Auto Show, I want to talk about that because it really blew me away. I did go to the Shanghai Auto Show earlier in the year, and I thought that was the greatest auto show ever. And that I think the videos and the photos and the stories behind it all kind of proved that. And Guangzhou is also a big show. It's not as big as the Shanghai Beijing tandem show, but it was better than it was last year, and there were some really important debuts and some access to other cars. There were some car companies missing from this auto show. I noticed that Wuling was not there, considering they are the best-selling EV, the Wuling Mini EV. They weren't at the show. Didn't see them, and also Tesla wasn't there, which was a shock to me. I thought for sure Tesla would be there. They're still selling like hotcakes here in China. But there were some great debuts, and I've got some photos to share with you guys, along with some other things about what's going on. If you're out there, say hello. Tell me where you're coming from, and let's start the broadcast. Give me one second. I'm not prepared. Hold on. I gotta share share screen. Share that screen. Okay. All right. Next screen is up. Let's start with this. This is Baby Lee. I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream that I've been working all weekend on a project for a local charity called Helping Hands. They reached out to me. I've done little things with Helping Hands, but I haven't really gotten that involved. And I was having dinner with a friend who is a big supporter of this charity, and I got to thinking, I got to get more involved in this. And so they actually reached out to me and asked me to produce a video to help raise money for Baby Lee. This little 1-year-old, unfortunately, was burned in a fire, about 90% of his body. And the pictures are horrific. They tug at my heartstrings. And they approached me to try to make a short little 30-second video about, trying to raise money to help this little baby. And they need to raise about 1.4 million renminbi. The baby, yeah, he's doing okay. He's in the hospital. He's had a few surgeries, some skin grafting. The last surgery was not successful. So his father is in the hospital with him, and the father's taking skin from himself and putting it on the baby. And that seems to be going okay, I guess. He's going to survive, but he's got a long road ahead of him, and we need to help this family out. So for the last week or so, I was racking my brain thinking, what can I do? How can I structure this? I'd never made a video asking people to give money before, and it was a struggle. I had a couple of ideas, and they didn't really pan out. At the end of the day, it would just be me saying, "Hey, please give money," right? But I came up with another idea just a couple of days ago, and I sent the idea out to everyone I know here in town, in America, throughout the world, in the YouTube community, and the response has blown me away to the point where it's emotional. And you'll see that in the video that I'll be releasing probably on Tuesday. It's in the can. It's finished editing. It's currently um, at a volunteer's house getting some Chinese subtitles put on it because the video is mostly for the Chinese audience. But I will be releasing it on this channel and all my social media as well. And I spent the day today, almost the entire day, putting it together and editing it, hours and hours. And it was a really emotional roller coaster putting this together. Not just the story of the baby itself, but the response that I received on everyone coming back to me and helping me. There's hundreds of people who helped put this video together, and I'm truly thankful for everybody. So that's what I've been doing this week. Okay, moving on. Before we get to the cars, I have some other things I want to share with you. Because the cars were, oh, okay. So last night was the Secret Santa. Every year, all the guys, we get together and have a big barbecue. Just men only, guys only. The girls come later in the evening, of course. But, we have a barbecue with, 7 or 8 different cuts of meat on the barbecue. We dress up in Santa Claus outfits and we have a Secret Santa, and it's a great time for all the guys in town to get together and just be guys for a few hours. And it's a lot of fun. I did it last year. This year I did it again. I was only there for a couple of hours, just drinking, boozing, and barbecuing. It's like the one night of the year that I go out and have a few drinks with the guys. I really don't do that. I don't have time to do that very much anymore. And then after that, I took a DD out to Kaifachu to Sun Live Space. I don't go to concerts very much in China, but occasionally there'll be a good band. This is the Ricardo big band. Ricardo is you've seen his video. He recorded my Zhongshan video. He's a Grammy Award-winning artist from Brazil who currently lives in Zhongshan, and he's a friend of mine. And he had his big band playing at this space. He did not a long set, a little over an hour or so, but he had 4 or 5 horns in the horn section, and it was really really great. The songs, he had a couple of originals, and he had some stuff, some throwbacks to the 1970s that were just freaking awesome. So good times there. Nightlife in Zhongshan is a lot of fun. This is in Baishuijing, which is not far from my studio. It's right down the street. This is one of the older neighborhoods in Zhongshan, and this is a great place to go for dapaidang, some street food, and stop by this little tea cart with a sweet lady and her daughter selling this incredible lemon tea that has some flower seeds in it. And it was just a different lemon tea than I'd ever tasted before. It was floral and everything. So this will be in the video as well as part of my nightlife video. Nightlife in Zhongshan. We got a lot of things I'm producing, guys. Speaking of flowers, right now is the Xiaolan Chrysanthemum Festival. I used to live in Xiaolan, so I've been to this a few times. It always blows me away how beautiful this flower is and all the different varieties of the flowers. And it was a cold, cold day that we were there. And it's not just chrysanthemums. They have other flowers in bloom in the display area. Some local, display exhibitions, artwork exhibitions. But of course, chrysanthemum food. And if you don't know, you can eat. There's certain chrysanthemums you can eat. Some you cannot. But this particular one you can. They call this is actually called the edible chrysanthemum. And the petals you tear off of the flower and you can make into like a little salad. You can, and you make all kinds of foods with chrysanthemum. Of course, chrysanthemum infused tea is one of my favorite teas, but you can just eat the flower petals like a salad itself. Put a little oil on it. You can eat it with some fried fish balls. You can eat it with some chicken. They have a boiled chicken, chrysanthemum infused, and it's just awesome. There's all kinds of baozi that you can eat it with, and of course you can deep fry the leaves themselves and eat it. So good, so good. If you're ever in the city of Shaolin, I highly recommend you get some chrysanthemum cuisine. Really, really awesome. And then later that night, I went to a banquet. I don't know if you can see it in this photo, but this banquet, they call it the 1,000 person banquet. And this is a tradition in the town of Xiaolan. They've been cultivating chrysanthemums for well over 750 years in this town. So it goes back a long, long time. And this was a lot of fun. It's like the harvest feast of the chrysanthemum, if you can believe it. They have a harvest feast for a flower. But there's over 1,000 people at this banquet, and it was great to see some old friends, and there were like all the famous chefs of Zhongshan were there. It was a really interesting evening, and of course they have chrysanthemum wine. It's a baijiu, but it's infused with chrysanthemum. So it's a very floral tasting baijiu, very delicious, very cool. Let's see, what else can I share with you? Oh yeah, here. Yeah, someone sent this to me. I knew it. I knew it. I knew there had to be not just one, but more than one. Anti-poll department. Okay, so last weekend, I think it was, we were down at Mona and I visited the Zhongshan Hot Springs Resort. We just spent a couple hours in the hot springs. And while we were there, I got a chance to tour the Deng Paoxing. Is it Deng Paoxing? Yeah. Deng Paoxing. His villa. Now, back in the 1980s, this guy, the premier, the president of China, I guess, visited Zhongshan, and they built this villa for his visit. And it's a remarkable villa. It's kind of got this Hong Kong courtyard style to it, but nothing has changed. This is the early 1980s, and they preserved it completely the exact same way it was when he visited. Everything, and you can rent this. It costs about 4,000 renminbi a night to stay in this villa. I think it's about a 4-bedroom villa, and it has its own swimming pool. You can see courtyard. It's got like a pool hall. It's got a actual conference room. This is all built for him for his stay, and he was well in his 80s at the time of his visit, and he was so he's an old man. So even like the bed is like super super low to the ground, so that he can climb in and out of the bed very easily. And the bathtub in the bathroom, same thing. It's like super super low, as was the toilet and the bidet. Everything is like low to the ground to support it. Another thing I thought was interesting, I don't have a picture of it, but it'll be in a video. They had his room. This is his office with his little sitting room behind that. Excuse me, is his bedroom. And then attached to this was a separate bedroom and a separate bathroom for his wife. So he and his wife had separate rooms, and then there were a couple of other rooms for various servants and security and stuff. A fascinating tour of a little piece of Chinese history. Fairly modern Chinese history. I mean, again, when you walk through this, it looks a little old. All the fixtures in the bathroom are a little old. The color schemes are straight out of the 1980s, but they've done that purposely. They've kept it the exact same way it was from when he left. So it might seem a little old, and why would anyone want to stay here now? But 30, 40 years from now, it'll be like a little time capsule for the 1980s. So I appreciated it for that reason. I think it would be a lot of fun to go back and see it sometime in the future. Hi everyone, window into micro world. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you very much. And we have is it Hao Ni? Thank you, Hao Ni, as well. Okay. This is the coffee bar / cocktail bar that is open right down the hallway from me. They were constructing this for a long time, and I've talked about it before. And Mona and I finally went in there and introduced ourselves. Said, "Hi, I'm your neighbor. My office right down the street." And it's kind of cool. I'm very impressed with what they've done with this place. And the people who work there, the owner, they're very sweet and very nice. And I went there today and got a cup of coffee. It's very convenient because it's just right down the hallway. And I can get a really good cappuccino and it's 20 renminbi. It's a lot cheaper than Starbucks across the street. So super, super convenient. They can be a little loud at night. Not them, but people drinking there at night. They don't usually stay too late, and I think they are trying to keep it down for me. But yeah, really interesting. Now I asked the question: is it a good thing or a bad thing that I have a coffee bar slash cocktail bar down the hallway from me? I guess I put it on my WeChat moments, and everyone said, "Oh yeah, it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing." It's been convenient. It's been convenient. I haven't actually gone to have a drink there because why do that when I can just have a drink in my office right here. So cheers, everybody. Happy Sunday, everyone. Mm. Have a little cocktail. Again, it can be an early night for me because I have to go to work in the morning. It can be a very busy week for me again. Says you are my student in 2019, huh? Oh, great. Thank you. That was a while back, a couple of years ago, I guess. But yes, I am still in Zhongshan. I'm still teaching at the same college. So glad you found me here. I hope you're doing well, man. Okay. So let's get into the car show because the car show is a lot of fun. Oh, let's do the car show. All right, I'll blow this up, make it a little bigger. Okay, so if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out because the Guangzhou Auto Show was great. I showed up really early in the morning. I stayed the night at the Park Hyatt in Guangzhou, a beautiful hotel. I was blown away, really. I mean, it's right up there as one of the best hotels I've stayed at in Guangzhou. I mean, I love the Ritz Carlton just because the service and the nostalgia aspect of it, but this Park Hyatt was one of the more beautiful ones I've stayed at. So they did a fantastic job, and I was super, super happy with them. This is looking at. I had never shown up to an auto show before it opened, and I didn't know that they kept the cars under wraps like this, and they did. And I got to walk in as they were taking it all off. The lights were off, and I got to roam around when there was nobody there and check it all out. That was really, really cool. And here's some of the cars that you've seen. This one is the new electric car from Great Wall Motors. This is a new brand that they are trying to launch, a high-end electric car. And to me, it looks like something out of like a 1980s. It kind of has like a Countach feel to it with that front end. I don't know. I feel like it's a Lamborghini inspired, Italian inspired with the sharp edges and everything. It's controversial. I am not sure if I like it. I think it's a little too out there for me. This is just a concept car. I don't know what the final product will look like, but Great Wall Motors, which also makes Haval and Aura, Aura being an electric car company that is very inexpensive, and they're quite popular actually. I see a lot of Auras on the roads these days. They're going for a higher end, they seem to be bifurcating the electric markets. All the car companies are between two separate brands, one for low cost consumers, everyday consumers, and a higher end brand, much like say like Toyota does with Toyota, Lexus, or Honda and Acura. The electric car brands seem to be bifurcating into higher end versus everyday consumer brands as well. So that's the trend I'm seeing with a lot of these car companies. And Great Wall Motors has been doing really, really well with their Haval brand. It's really selling well as their pickup trucks are doing very well. And I love the Havels. I hope to work with them in the future. So, well, I got a picture. Let's talking about the auras. Let's take a look at the aura and talk about this. Okay, so this is one of the auras that they debuted at the Shanghai Auto Show. It's not the Punk Cat. Maybe it's the Lightning. I can't remember. Punk Cat or Lightning Cat. I can't remember which one. Sorry, guys. But it's obviously a Volkswagen Beetle. It's unapologetically looks just like an old Volkswagen Beetle. It's bigger than a Volkswagen Beetle. It's got the 4 doors. And the interior's got a retro look, but everything on this thing is modern. It really is. And I've gotten a couple comments in the sections about people saying, "Oh, look at all the copycats," right? And I'm like, okay, this is obviously I don't know. I don't know if you can call it a copycat because it's not meant to pass as a Volkswagen Beetle. It's supposed to be heavily inspired by a Volkswagen Beetle. There's other cars in the market here that are obvious copycats that are meant to look like the originals. The bike SUV that looks like the Mercedes G wagon is an obvious one. It looks just like a G wagon. I mean, to the unsuspecting eye, could pass as a G wagon. This one obviously looks like a Volkswagen Beetle, but it's obviously not a Volkswagen Beetle. So there's some inspiration that comes with this. And when it comes to copycat, everyone copies everyone else. At the end of the day, it's just a car with four wheels, and it's kind of a tired trope about this whole copycat thing. There are obvious copycats thing, but it's in the large scheme of things in the Chinese market, which is the largest market in the world. It's very rare. It really is. There's some inspirations that are derived from, but there's an awful lot of original design, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Uh, let's see. So I like it. I think it's cool. I wouldn't buy one. I'm not interested in a compact four door um, um, or a electric car. But I dig it, and I welcome to see it on the road. I really would. This one is actually kind of cool. This one, everyone said it looks like a Panamera. And I think the back end, I can see the comparison of the back end just because it's got that shooting brake kind of design. But that shooting brake has been around for over 100 years. This concept of a shooting brake. So it's to me, it doesn't look anything like a Porsche Panamera. A Porsche Panamera is a beautiful car. This is too, but it's really its own thing in my opinion. Look at these wheels. These wheels are insane. They're wholly original. And one of the things that they've done is the designers of these cars at Aura used to work for Volkswagen and Porsche. That's why you see a lot of, the round headlights. But round headlights or oval headlights like that have been around for a long time. It's hard to say what's a copycat and what's not. I see a lot of inspiration, but I don't necessarily see a copycat. This is not a big car, by the way. This is a tiny little car. And it's unknown. I don't know if they're going to build this one. It looked like they were going to build the Beetle. This one here, they had a couple of these on the floor that you can go and you can sit in. And I think they're going to actually build this, and I welcome it. I think it's a great thing. It's really cool. And now Aura, owned by Great Wall Motors, at the Way display, which is another Great Wall SUV company. It's kind of a step above Haval SUV. They had this one, which is another retro. You can see it's kind of inspired by that Aura look, but a completely different front end. Um, and a lot of people have commented and said this is a beautiful, beautiful car. And I'm like, yeah. And these companies, Great Wall Motors is not the only one doing this, by the way. There's a lot of Ford has come out with a retro pickup truck based on their old F-150s from like I don't know 1970s or something, and that looks really really cool. Now they basically said they're not going to build it, but it is a concept vehicle, all modern inside, but it looks just like something you would get in like the late 1970s, early 1980s F-150 series. And so there seems to be a trend of going back to the retro. There, everyone's going away from the jelly bean, look. And I mean, even this brand new one has that 1980s look to it. So that's where I see the design going. Yeah. Oh, everyone's telling me it was the good cat. Oh, okay, the good cat. That there was the lightning cat, the punk cat. I get them confused. I do. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, they said it was a good cat. Cool. I'm just a guy from Malaysia. I like Malaysia, man. I gotta go back there someday. When the borders open up again, I can go back. It will. They're gonna sell the Aura in Ireland. Very cool. Yeah, it'd be a good European car. They're small, little, affordable electric cars. I can see it being a hit. I like the design. The designs are pretty cool. The interiors are kind of cheap. It's a lot of really cheap plastic. It's not a. It's a economical car. I guess I can say if I want to be nice. Yeah, that model was the good cat. Okay, good. This is the good cat. And actually, the VWB was in term a cop. That's exactly it. Everyone copies over everyone. I'm tired of seeing these comments. Oh, everyone's copying from America. I'm like, shut up. It's such a tired trope at this point. And there's obvious. Okay, let me show you an obvious copycat. This is Samsung Motors, or Zhongshan Motors. And they were in Shanghai. They're a small little company. They don't sell anything. I mean, I've never seen one of these on the road. I saw something on CNBC or something like that where they focus on this. This is an electric car, and it's a obvious Corvette copy knockoff, whatever, right? But I think it's awesome, and everyone I've shown this to loves it. And the interior is really beautiful. It's all modern, and it's got this exterior shell that just is beautiful. It's these beautiful lines, and it's a Corvette, and I love it. I welcome it. Nobody's making stuff like this. I don't know if this is actually in production or not. I have never seen them on the road. I think they make, like a couple per year. Zhongshan Motor, they're not a big company. They're a tiny little company that is trying to get off the ground. They make a lot of custom cars. The guys at Zhongshan are just freaking nuts, but they obviously are capitalizing on this American style. But not just American. I mean, they have this one here. This is the VW bus inspired electric van, and it's beautiful. I think it's awesome. And when you combine it with the trailer like that, with the little pop-up tent that also has a full bathroom in it and a kitchenette in the trailer, it's just freaking cool. And I love that they're willing to do things like this. They also make motorcycles, a couple other bulbous kind of cars, So Zhongshan Motors, absolutely crazy. They're nuts. They're absolutely nuts. The Hi-Fi X caught my eye. It was on Wheels Boy. Seems on high budget fun EV. Yeah, it's like $100,000 for the Hi-Fi. It's a really interesting car. I love there's a couple of different ones. You have ones for like executives with have like the pop out champagne in the back, right? And then they have another one with like 3-row seating. I've seen them on the road. There's a couple guys here in Zhongshan that have the Hi-Fi, and when you see them on the road, it catches your eye because they're so wildly different than anything else. And when people show up in a parking lot and they open those back doors, and they, one is a suicide door and the other one's a gull-wing door, everyone stops and just watches it because it's so cool. I don't know how it drives. I've never driven one. It's nice inside. It's not the nicest car I've ever been in as far as the interior goes, but it's really, really well thought out and designed. I mean, I'm sitting in the passenger seat. You have that giant screen in front of you that is really blocked from the driver's view because there's a huge center screen here, and you can't see the entertainment screen for the passenger. So the passenger can watch a movie or do shopping or do whatever he wants, and it's not going to distract the driver at all. The Hi-Fi is really, really cool. I did meet a great guy in Shenzhen who's going to give me an opportunity to drive it and to test drive it and to do a full review, much like Wheels Boy did. And I think it was on a couple of other channels. It's really exciting, the things that the chances that they're taking, and these things are out on the streets. They're not concept cars. They are building these Hi-Fi, and people are buying them, and they're very popular. A lot of people like these things. And then Hi-Fi is also talking about releasing, and they've teased it. They've got a new model coming out, so it's not just the Hi-Fi X. There's another one coming out soon. Obviously low, just like Li Xiang is teasing a smaller, more affordable model. The Li One is my favorite plug-in hybrid SUV on the market in China right now. If I had the money, I don't have 50 grand, but if I had the money, I would go buy that one. That's the one I would buy. Just there's no question about it. If they come out with a new one, and I still won't have the money, but more and more people will be able to afford the Li 2, which is rumored to start coming out next quarter, very, very soon. we'll see. We haven't heard any news on it yet. Just in the group chats, that's all people are talking about. Next quarter. They're planning on coming out, and we're all excited for it. So let's talk about original design. I mean, they got some cool stuff. Look at this one from GAC. GAC had a large booth with all kinds of crazy. I mean, look at that. It's obviously just the concept, but it was all like a brushed aluminum. I mean, it's badass. Now I can see something like this with that high ground clearance in the center being almost like not an SUV, but like a rally car kind of thing, which I love. I wish they would make a high riding wagon, not a high riding SUV, but a high riding wagon that you can take off road, but it's still like sleek, like a sports car. I wish they would make something like that. Some company would make something like that, because I think, I've seen concepts of it for years, but I haven't actually, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Outback, the Subaru Outback, but that's not really high riding enough. I'm talking like a rally car, maybe even like a sports car. I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. There's another one. This is also from GAC. This is their electric brand Ion. This is the Ion Y, and this is a wide angle lens taking this shot, so it's not a true accurate depiction of what the car looks like. But I was blown away by the interior. I've seen a lot of interiors like this. A lot of interiors in these concept cars are going after that self-driving thing where, the driver's seat and the passenger seat swivel around and make like a living room. This one caught my eye because it's a driver's car. The driver's seat is the center of the car. And obviously, it'll be a self-driving car in one fashion or another. But I love the concept of it having this wraparound sofa where your passengers or even you can sit back and take a nap and just kind of have a communal living room atmosphere. Yet at the same time, you have a car that is driver oriented for those of us who love to drive. That's what I see in this car. And of course, a little element of a little like bonsai style flower on the dash was really cool too. They'll never build it. It'll never look like this, but I love that concept. Is there a real difference in cost if you buy an EV instead of petrol power car in China? Um, It's hard to answer because the EV market here is so big and there's really something for everyone. You can get into a BYD, like my buddy's E2, for 10, 11,000 dollars, US dollars. Sorry about that. I don't know if you can hear that, but oh my God. My neighbors are having sex. All right. I'll ignore it for now. All right, what were we talking about? Okay, I got distracted. Okay, we're talking about EV cars. Okay, are they affordable? Yes, you can get into an EV car in China for, hell, the Wuling Mini is like 4,000 or 5,000 US dollars. And they go all the way up to well over $100,000 for electric cars. So, and they have tax incentives and things like that and rebates for pushing electric cars. Then the ongoing cost of ownership, when you're talking about gas and maintenance and oil changes and all that, of course, the EV car is less. I have sat in a couple of EV cars, some BYDs and some Cherys, some of the lower end ones that are about 5 or 6 years old, and they're falling apart. They're still running, but they're not the same. The new ones that they are building now, the new BYDs, the Neos, the Xiaopangs, these are beautiful cars. Even the Teslas are beautiful cars, and they are highly popular. The issue one would have is with charging it. There are charging stations everywhere, and every morning I go out, and all the DD drivers are charging their cars at all the charging stations. Here in at my office, it's on top of a giant mall. There's some charging stations down below, and regular petrol cars are parked in those parking spaces all the time because they're right next to the entrance of the mall. And so if you have an electric car and you want to charge it, you can almost never get that parking space. So that is an issue, is the enforcement of parking spaces that are meant to charge EVs. They're almost always taken up by petrol cars because the convenience of the location. Some of the newer malls and newer parking lots have addressed this, but it seems to be an issue. Also, I talked about this in a live stream once before, is during the holidays, everyone gets out on the road and they go on big trips. They go to their hometowns and everything. I mean, everyone empties out of the cities. And they have service stations with charging along the highways here, but there's limited capacity on the highways for charging. So if you're driving an electric car halfway across the country and you need to charge it, you're going to wait in long, long line for hours to charge your petrol or charge your electric car. I mean, during these times, I've been out on the road during these times, and even with a petrol car, you have to wait in a line, sometimes half an hour, to get your spot at the petrol station because there's that many cars on the road and that many cars in the service stations. So and then we're talking about the service stations along the high speed highways, the toll roads. So there's a lot of issues that go into it. That's why I believe the plug-in hybrid option is the best of both worlds right now, because on a day-to-day commute, take the Lynk & Co. 01 plug-in hybrid EV that Lynk & Co. gave me to drive around Guangzhou for a weekend. I did a video about it. They were very nice to give it to me just for the weekend. And they said, hey, here's your car. Make a video. Tell us what you think. And I was very honest in the video about the good and the bad of the car. But that was the first time I actually had a plug-in hybrid for any extended period of time. And it was great because just around the city, you get 50, 60 kilometers of range on the electric side. And when you're out on the highway, you can either keep it in full electric or it switches to the petrol engine. If you charge it, you can have different drive modes. So it's very convenient. And then if you're on a long road trip, you just fill up the tank and keep going. And then in and around town, you're on electric highway. So daily commuting, it's all electric. You get back to your house, you plug it in, and you can pretty much live full electric depending on your commute during the week. And then on the weekends, you have that option of the engine. It's just the best of both worlds, a plug-in hybrid. For the current situation, fast charging, lack of charging stations, things like this. I mean, the charging stations are everywhere in China, but there's also a lot of electric cars in China. So it's still a capacity, issue. But my friends who do have electric cars swear by it. They love it, especially Neo. You have the battery swap technology. You can do that, although there are lines at some of those battery swap technology places as well. So it's a changing world right now, and I think the PHEV is the way to go right now. We'll see what the future has in store. I'm bullish about where electric cars are going in the future. It's great to have an all electric. Like, I love Shenzhen because all the taxis are electric. Everyone's riding electric bikes. All the buses are electric. I've told this story before. I'll tell it one more time. I was in Hanoi, Vietnam, and great city. I love the history. I love the Vietnamese people. I love the food. Vietnam is an amazing country, but it's loud. Everyone's got a motorbike, a 125 motorbike, a scooter. The buses are all diesel. And when you walk down the street, not only is it very loud, but the pollution on the street burns your lungs, it burns your eyes. And that's just everyday constant. That was in Saigon, that was in Da Nang, and it was in Hanoi. And when I came back to China, I flew back to Hong Kong, took the boat over to Zhuhai. The first thing that hit me, the first thing I noticed when I got off the boat in Zhuhai was how quiet everything was. The cars go by and there's no sound. The buses go by and there's no sound. You got e-bikes everywhere, a couple motorbikes here and there, but it was quiet. There was no pollution on the street as you walk around. It was lovely. It was great. So I wanted to say that. Something to be said about that. Okay, let's get to some chats. Looks like the McLaren Speedtail. Interesting. I don't know the McLaren Speedtail. I don't know that car. I'll have to look that up. Maybe it does. All cars look like something, but there's a tendency for Chinese make for if you're looking at it, and say, oh, it's a Chinese car, it's a copy. If it looks like this, it looks like that. And I see every reviewer do that. When in reality, I can say the same thing about German cars and American cars and Russian cars and Korean cars and Japanese cars. You know, you can do the same thing for everyone, every one of them. I don't know what that is, Amanda. The Electric Vikings are very good. Yes, he's really cool. If you don't know, he's a talking head channel, and he covers the EV market and news in the EV market. I like his channel a lot. My old channel that I still have, that's Rojo Reads the News, I've been wanting to revive it, but of course, with the term here, I haven't been busy. Maybe during the 6-week holiday, I'll revive it with doing more car content, similar to the Electric Viking. Um, Really, really cool guy. I love his delivery and I love his impartiality when he talks about certain things. Great channel. Hallelujah to Sunday night. Yeah. Thank you, Rick. Hallelujah to too. They are talking about it here in the car circles. It is big news, but the vast majority of consumers, the vast majority of just people living their lives, have no idea about any of this technology. And I'm one of them. I'm not very well versed with electric vehicle technology. I mean, I read some things here and there, but a lot of the technology is beyond my understanding. I'm more of like a, this is the where the market is going. This is a cool design. People like these cars. The technology behind the cars, I'm still learning that. I admit fully, I'm very ignorant of it. So, but I noticed, like last night, I was at the bar for the Secret Santa party, and we were talking cars, and nobody really knew about BYD technology or Tesla technology. One guy told me his wife bought a car, and I said, "Oh, great! What kind of car is it? It's an electric car. What kind of car is it?" He said, "I don't know. I don't know the brand." Oh, okay. Or what kind of car does she drive now? I don't know. I don't know the brand. So the vast majority of people in the world are not car people. They're not familiar with what's going on. That's my thing. I am not a car expert in any way. I don't pretend to be. I fully admit that I'm learning this as I go. And that's what my whole channel is about. So you guys help teach me, and hopefully I can give some information as I learn it. But it's way too big for anyone to be you want an expert on cars, go watch Wheels Boy. Ethan from Wheels Boy and his cohort, those guys are experts about Chinese market. They really are. I give it up to those guys. Okay, let's do some news. Wow, 45 minutes already. Jeez. Hold on. Okay, so you can follow me on a little shameless self promotion. Follow me on Facebook. You can buy me or support me on Patreon. You can buy me a coffee, um, all that great stuff. Before we get to that, I also have merch for sale. Yay! Rojo merch. It's supposed to be on my shelf in YouTube, but for some reason I don't know why it's not there. It's supposed to be for sale out there. I've talked about it. If you go to spreadshop.com, if you go to my Facebook page, there's a link to it. If you want to purchase a shirt, help out the channel. This is something that some friends and family of mine have asked for, just some simple designs like this. So go check it out. Help me out. Again, I will never ask for subscription or donation or anything like that in the vlogs themselves. The live stream's a little bit different. I get to actually talk to you guys. All right. Oh, what do we got here? I have no doubt that they are. Everyone's been talking about BYDs. I've been learning about the BYD. Uh, I haven't been learning enough about it. That was a lie. I haven't been learning enough about it. I should learn more. BYD is a local company here in Shenzhen, and they are doing some amazing things. I think you can learn from China faster than any. Yes, you can. That I've said this before. That is one of the reasons why everyone asks me, Paul, why do you stay in China? Why don't you go back to America? Why don't you move on someplace else? You know what? I stay here because every day is a learning situation for me, and I'm addicted to that. I learn something new every day about this country, about life, about nuances, about living a life, and China is an amazing place. It changes so rapidly. I was in just on my way to work last week, and I looked over, and there's these brand new buildings going, these towers going up, and I'm like, those were parking lots, you know, a couple weeks ago, and now they've got these towers that are halfway built, and not just one. There's like 20 of them going up, and a whole new section of the city. It's like, what's going on there? That's just that type of thing, that type of experience happens to me almost on a daily basis here, and it's awesome. It's an awesome way to live your life. So you're absolutely right, William. Okay, let's talk about the ESL community. I saw this now. VIP Kid. If you don't know, VIP Kid is a very large online education platform, and a lot of the training centers have been closed. A lot of English teachers are out of work. A lot of them had to go back home. They wouldn't be able to get their work permits or visas renewed. Most of the legal English teachers have jumped ship. They're gone, but there's still a huge demand for this. Now, foreigners are not allowed to teach online if they live outside of China. So VIP is now hiring, look at this, 30 to 60,000 monthly salary. 60,000 a month to teach online. This is you have to be in Beijing, which is not, you know, not a cheap city to live in, but 60,000 renminbi, I mean, what is that? 8 grand a month to teach English online. You must be in Beijing for this. The working hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Okay, weekends off. And they give you a Z visa. Plus, you get allowances and bonuses. And it says in bold, you please make sure you can relocate to Beijing before applying for this job. So there are ESL, and there's a lot at the international schools. Most of the international schools are fully hired out. There's a lot of competition for those jobs. You really have to have your ducks in a row and be the highest quality English teacher possible to teach in those types of places. So that's very, very cool. Hi, Paul. What do you think about the recent diplomatic dispute? Business as usual. It's nothing new. Countries will have disputes left and right. I don't get into it. I think it's lame. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not a political guy. I want to point my camera on beautiful things. So a lot of people want to drag me into those kind of conversations, and it's just not worth it for me. It's not. It's blown way out of proportion by all parties involved, and all the people who talk about it online have these hugely hyperbolic points of view, and it's detrimental to the process. So I'm not going to contribute to it. Sorry, Jack. Tutoring is back in Beijing, and it's free for everyone. This is something a lot of people thought would happen. So they realize that there's still a huge demand for tutoring. So what they have done is the city of Beijing has come up with a different idea. This is teachers can teach, I think it's in an online platform in Beijing, and they can get paid, what is it? Something like 5,000 a month, up to 5,000 a month, depending on, where is it? I read through this. Now I can't remember it. So the draw of the platform is it's completely free for the students. The students don't have to pay for anything on this, and it's funded by the Beijing government, which plans to pay teachers at public schools to fill the void left by tutors hired by private companies. The general principle of the initiative is to also in line with the double reduction policy that's um, closing a lot of the training centers that were teaching curriculum-based classes. So huge overall. This is big news, right? Okay, so to ensure the platform won't keep students up late at night and occupy their weekends, the service is only available from 6 to 9 p.m. on weekdays, and each one-on-one session or group classes are limited to 30 minutes. It's free for the kids to do this, and the public teachers are allowed to do it, and their pay is based on a rating from the parents and the students themselves. So teachers can actually make a little extra money by doing this, by doing private tutoring through this government platform. There was a lot of rumors that something like this would happen, but I think it came to a surprise to everyone that it would be free for the students to do this. So it's going to cost a lot of money for the government to run something like this because the demand is really, really high. But it's only in one city for now, and we'll see what comes up to it in the future. So this came from Auto Update. 100 plus corporations working on autonomous vehicles. These are all the companies that are developing autonomous vehicles. You got Neo, Xiaopeng, you got Li, you got Woltmeister, Leap Motor, Human Horizons. I think that's the Hi-Fi. Voya, that's a Dongfeng company. GAC Ion, of course. And, yeah, Zeekers by Geely, of course. This down here is Marvel. That's by SAIC. Hycan is an interesting company. They're really trying to go after an ultra youth market, and I just don't see very many of them on the road. But you can see all of these, and then you have robo taxi companies, and you have robo trucks, robo bus, these tier one, product providers. This is a really, really interesting list. I love it. Very, very cool. The middle class car market is about to take off. I thought this was an interesting article, mostly because it had some breakdowns of what the middle class looks like in China. So China, so far this year, has been trying to accelerate its push for the so-called common prosperity, setting goals such as expand the middle class population and form an olive-shaped income distribution structure, helping more low-income population move into the middle class income population. I'm all for that. I think that's fine. Having a strong middle class is a good thing. And what does it look like? So they call it the middle class car market is about to take off. So insights into the middle class car market. So it has some things here. Okay, what is it? There's some graphs and where are they? Okay. So middle class users as families with annual disposable incomes of 150,000 to 500,000 renminbi. They form the so-called middle class car markets. So that's the market that they're aiming for. Survey conducted in January to September 2021 of 28,000. The education background, marital status, and city, region of residence represented current market characteristics. So education. Looks like less than 15% are middle school or lower. Almost 30% are high school or technical school, junior college, bachelor's degrees. But look at masters and doctorate. They're really low. They're down to about 3% masters and doctorates. So junior college and bachelors, that seem to be, if you get past high school, you're going to college. But graduate work, I have heard a lot more people wanting to go do graduate work, but there needs to be a cost benefit analysis done. Are you really going to make a lot more money if you spend that much of your time and money on a graduate degree? Is it going to pay off in terms of your salary, your future income? And a lot of people are doing that, and they're saying no, it's not. Marital status, obviously the vast majority are married. Little less than 15% live in tier 1 cities. Most, they call it new tier 1 or near tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities. Region of residence, the north, of course, is the most. East is the second highest. Okay, so market performance. Here we go. This one down here. The share of PV sales for household income in 2021. All down here. Blue collar. And rising in that lower middle class, about 150,000 to 200,000 renminbi per month. Interesting study. 2021 China PV mainstream brand middle class penetration. Volvo is tops. Lexus is number 2. That surprises me. Look at, and Mini is on here. Mini. Tesla. I thought Tesla would be a little bit higher on this list, but I'm surprised that Volvo is on top of the list. That's pretty interesting. And then you have Li Auto, Cadillac, Lincoln, Tank. Tank is a brand new brand, and it's already, up above NIO and Jaguar. GAC Ion's on this list. GAC Ion is above Audi and BMW. Wow. Wow. At the bottom of the list is Skoda, Mitsubishi, and SAIC Maxus. Pretty interesting stuff. Here are the top 20 middle class penetration cars. The Lexus NX. Okay, I can see that. Do see a lot of the NX on the road. Honda Odyssey. Minivan. The Honda, is it the Elysian? I think that is. It's basically an Accord. The Lincoln Co. 01, very, very good compact SUV. The Audi A4L. The Volvo XC60. I do see a lot of Volvo XC60s on the road. Highlander. The BYD Han is above the Lexus ES. Very cool. The Honda Breeze is above the Tesla Model Y. The Honda Breeze is basically a CRV. Cool. Very interesting. Okay, we need to move on because I need to go. So China has lowest amount of expats by proportion in the world. That doesn't surprise me because it increased in the last 20 years. You can see that it increased 593,000 in 2010 to 845,000. Most people believe there's roughly about 1 million expats living in China right now. But because, 1.4 billion people in this country, the proportion of expats to the population is the lowest in the world. That does not surprise me at all. We're still a relatively rare sight. 10 countries with the lowest proportion of foreign migrants in the total population. China's the lowest. Vietnam. Interesting. I can see Cuba on this list. That's fine. But Vietnam, I'm surprised by that. When I was in Vietnam, I saw a lot of expats there. They could have just been traveling, but Vietnam, Cuba, Indonesia, Madagascar, Myanmar, Sri Lanka are all below North Korea. Wow. Philippines, Morocco are also on this list. But all those... Indonesia is a huge country. But yeah, China has the lowest lower than North Korea. All of these. Wow. How many people actually live in North Korea, though, right? Yeah. Of course, COVID has a big deal with this, and they've kind of closed off the borders, making it a lot more harder to come to China these days. The increased number of foreign students. A lot of them are still out of the country this year. I love this one. Chinese U.S. paddlers join forces at the World Championships. I love this story. I thought it was great. I think we need to see more. There's a lot of things like this happening in the world, in America, in China, and it never gets reported on. Going back, Jack Lee, everyone talks about this reports on, political disputes and all that kind of BS. When in reality, on the ground, stuff like this is happening. Investments are happening. Trade is happening. Friendships and relationships are forming. That's the way of the world. And all that high-level stuff that gets reported, it's all hyperbolic BS, in my opinion. I don't get involved. I don't participate in that whole conversation because it's just not worth it. I have nothing to contribute to it. But when I see things like this, I'm like, this is a reflection of what I see personally on the ground here. 2021 World Table Tennis Championships in Houston, Texas have put China-U.S. relations in the global spotlight. A Chinese and American paddlers paired up for the first time at a high-level tournament in the year, marking the 50th anniversary of the ping pong diplomacy. If you don't know that one, that was when Richard Nixon went and played ping pong, right? China's Lin Gaoyuan got a ball rolling on Monday night as he warmed up with his American partner Lily Zheng during a joint training session for the much-anticipated mixed doubles event on Tuesday. Lin's counterpart Wang Manyu was paired with U.S. talent Kanak. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. 50 years ago, the U.S. table tennis was invited to their Chinese counterpart to visit China at the conclusion of the 31st World Championships in Nagoya, Japan. The U.S. players landed in Beijing in 1971, becoming the first U.S. group to visit China since the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949. Oh, okay, it wasn't Richard Nixon. It was this. Okay, I was in, I think they parodied this a little bit in Forrest Gump, right? Yeah. We have been thinking about how we can build on the China-U.S. friendship kickstarted by our predecessors 50 years ago, further enhance this relationship through sports events, sports activities, and community events. Great. More of this needs to be, it happens all the time. Nobody says anything about it. No quarantines in 8 countries for travelers with Chinese vaccines. By the way, the Hong Kong has opened up. You can get a Hong Kong health code now. Something like 90,000 in the first couple of days applied. So Hong Kong is now open to mainland travelers. I think I can go there if I get a Hong Kong QR code. I haven't been to Hong Kong in years. It's right across the bay. It's been closed off for COVID reasons. But I think I'm allowed to go. And I'm told I can go to Macau now too. So I got to check into that. So Canada, the UK, Cambodia, Thailand, all of these countries now support the Chinese vaccine, and more are coming. I'm scheduled to get my booster shot next month, and I'm looking forward to it. So that's great. I still have to be in quarantine when I come back into the country. That's no fun. All right, I've got to call it a night, guys. It's late. I've been on for over an hour, and it's after 10 p.m., so I need to make a quick phone call and then call it a night. So I want to thank you all for joining me for this live stream. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. Again, be on the lookout for some new videos coming up. Firefighters in China. I got the Zhongshan Hot Springs Resort. I've got a tour of the wax museum and the wax factory where they make wax figures here in Zhongshan. I've got 2 China randoms coming out, a couple car videos, and a couple hotel videos. I got my Beijing trip coming in the first week of January, followed by some hiking and camping trips in northern Guangdong and southern Hunan. So that's my plan over the next couple of months. And be on the lookout for the Baby Lee charity fundraising video. Should be released in the next couple of days. Thank you very much for joining me. I do appreciate all of your support, and I hope you're all safe and happy. Take care.